With the return of the series Gossip Girl, a new generation of constant Billard and St. Jude students are under the watchful eye of the omniscient blogger. With the contemporary set of characters, we receive new storylines, personalities, and, of course, glamorous event looks, as well as the infamous stylized uniforms from Manhattan's elite. The personal style of dress functioning as a perceptual cue of oneself, and by extension, identity formation. The looks sported in the first episode hold great significance. The beginning of a storyline is captured within each outfit. Uniquely, the reboot dressed by the original costume designer, Eric Damon, references specific influences and high fashion brands to create the image of very formidable characters with much depth that we will be seeing develop and tangibly depicted throughout the show. The fashion in the first episode establishes the tone, pace, and acts as the foundation for character introduction, by extension, development. Costume designer Eric Damon's approach to styling the new characters not only had their personalities in mind, but this idea of self-expression and branding through fashion. For the original show, the costume designer found it eye-opening to see girl groups in real life identifying themselves through high fashion brands. Specifically, Marc Jacobs and Tory Burch were the social markers. The reboot has a similar approach.
Aww. Their school girls wears. Aww. And then we'll do your signature shorts. School uniform done. From the pilot all the way through the finale, we really wanted to editorialize what was happening on network television, and this show just seemed like a prime candidate.
With the influence of fashion within social media, to not only go with these storylines, but also to present identity, not only externally to visually signify, but to showcase the internal impact on these characters and hand with their inner lives, as each one uses fashion in a specific way. In this video, I'll be going over the sartorial perceptions as well as an understanding of the styles that these characters adorn themselves with in relation to identity, fashion, beauty, and society. We will also be going over how the mind functions within first impressions with respect to fashion, to grasp a deeper understanding of not only the experience found in the show and us watching the pilot, but also how this occurs in real life. Let's begin analysis with Monet de HAAN, the character who most embodies the nuances of the original Gossip Girl era. She is the ultimate queen bee type of the show. She has a magnetic quality that demands the room without having to speak a word. Hailing from old New York money, Monet has the most regal, polished, preppy, and daring style. She tends to maintain a regal color palette, but pushes boundaries with the execution of her looks. Monet is cunning and proudly exerts her power. On this, the executive producer states, "You don't want Monet to read you because you will just disappear into thin air. What she says goes, and she knows what goes." Her initial outfit captures the aura and exerts an elevated form of power, by which she is known for. Sporting a Veronica Beard Cook Dickey tweed blazer with the Mirabelle tweed skirt, a Balmain button-trimmed ribbed crop top, Sam Edelman platform loafer pumps, and finishes off the look with a Ferragamo studio bag in medium. In total, her look costs $4,245 US. Her other looks consist of Chanel, Gucci, Valentino, and other prestigious high fashion brands, typically the powerhouses. As a mission statement of Balmain goes, to always dress women in the right look for the right moment. This is Monet's approach to style. Her fashion is always well suited to and goes beyond what the moment entails. Her clothing commands and projects visually, just as she does. The executive producer on AUDREY states, She has a beautiful jewel box of an apartment and loves Chanel, old glamour, and dinner parties. When she gets dressed in the morning, it's for herself, not for the world. So Audrey is described as possessing a certain type of grace and competence, with self-assurance of who she is, despite not necessarily being what is quote-unquote in, because she does not think within this box. Her first look consists of an oversized Michael Kors tartan mohair blend sweater over the Constant Space uniform, with Chloe Emma leather-trimmed suede pumps over black ankle socks, paired off with a small Cartier bag, while reading Ornaments in Silence, Essays on Women's Lives from Edith Wharton to Germaine Greer by Kennedy Frazier, a very compassionate book. Her look in total cost $4,425 US. Her look is soft and girlish, yet poised, undone, and chic. Many of her more vintage-esque aesthetic pieces pay tributes to elegant fashion icons, but with a subtle edge and juxtaposition with the quiet softness. Luna is known as the stylist of the group and is originally from Mexico. She lives alone while her parents travel the world creating films. She has a very ethereal, feminine style with boho chic leniencies. Her style thrives in the details like ruffles and frills. Rather than very abundant looks, she goes for understated, fresh ones, much like her personality. She does not strive to be the center of attention, but rather utilizes her styling skills to uplift others and is direct with wit. Saffron on Luna stated, what you're going to wear, what you're going to eat, who you're going to date. If Luna says not to, or Luna says to, you do that. If Luna says that's not for you, you're like, you're right, that's not for me. So Luna is very conscious and observant, but not a wallflower. She has an eye for fashion and beauty. Luna goes more for fashionista looks, and at times does hold greater visual depth with tasteful branding. She tends to stay within neutrals and light tones, or goes for very feminine, vibrant pops of color. Her very first outfit consists of the Cami NYC geo-retched embroidered cotton blouse, Jimmy Choo sandals with a 45mm heel, worn with light socks, gold heels, and a bow around the neck to adhere to uniform dress code. While in this look, she is more focused on the look of others and curating this. She dresses in a manner that allows for her creativity to flow. She does exude a delicate yet confident aura. Julien CALLOWAY, noted for her influence, is a rising model and social media influencer. She's the top trendsetter with athleisure, menswear, glamour, and high fashion influences. Her costume design is very similar to Serena in the original Gossip Girl, taking style cues from off-duty looks such as Kate Moss and Gisele Bündchen. Julien's style is noted to be inspired by a model Ado de Catch. The costume designer felt that Ado's style was on brand of Julien, a hybrid of high fashion and behind-the-scenes model streetwear. Julien's personal style is eclectic and derived from numerous origins to produce an original look with every outfit. Her first outfit in the show is made up of Vimage Paris, oversized striped shirt in ivory, Schultz Abbey boots in almond buff, and a Fendi red corduroy. Her tie is embellished with a Cartier 18-karat gold pin. Her style is carefully curated with the help of her friends to upkeep her perfected, influential, coveted image. Julien has an understanding of how fashion serves her and how clothing functions in the world, which now brings us to the newcomer of the show, ZOYA LOTT, Julien's half-sister who is defined by perspective. We can see that ZOYA believes clothing has a voice through Revolution book totes. She tends to be emotionally connected to the pieces she wears, as we can see through her choice of wearing her mother's scarf on the first day of school. Her usual looks are more vintage, casual, and relaxed. Any higher-end fashion she sports is a gift from her sister, such as the Adidas x Beyoncé Superstar platform sneakers. The two sisters strive to complete a plan of integrating ZOYA by utilizing these shoes. While the plan did not go as thought, and the initial act may seem trivial to some, it is actually quite a formidable plan that is backed up by sociology and psychology. Studies have shown that the shoes one chooses to wear correlates directly with the wearer's personal characteristics. Though not telling all, there is much to be considered. One's choice in shoes do convey prominent information. For instance, age, income, and attachment anxiety can be judged simply from a person's shoe. In this setting, uniform is required. Uniforms display the values, morals, and attitudes of the institution by which it's from. By deconstructing a uniform, you are creating a display of personality, mood, or style in connection to who you truly are, part of who you are, or the identity necessary and/or deemed acceptable. All these styles of the girls are very distinct, but despite having this wide range of style in the show, they do have a lot in common in terms of variables such as use of brand identity, price point, etc. Similar to the original show, clothing and accessories are visual cues to convey where the characters fit in and who they are or think they want to be at this point in time. Cultural influences also persuade the impression of another viewing the piece. Collectivism versus individualism will influence how this impression is formed. Subconsciously, many times, people tend to opt for the group perception over the individual or have the group perception shape the individual. If a collectivist has a differing view, they may be so inclined to try and persuade others into agreement with their point of view. Individualists are much more open to change as they are generally more comfortable with being in an uncertain state. The first impression is the event by which one meets the subject and forms a mental image of them or it. The accuracy of the impression varies based on the attitudes, prior experiences, and environment presentation. Overall, first impressions give general influence over how they are viewed and treated in many contexts. This relates to social cognition, which is the term used for processes related to perception, understanding, and implementation of auditory, visual, and physical cues. This intake of information communicates emotional and interpersonal information. Many opinions formed from the observed physical attributes of a person, such as features, clothing, cosmetics, grooming, etc. Depending greatly on culture and society, there are some traditional messages being sent and received. For example, physical beauty is often linked to health, or someone with a baby face type of structure is believed to be more as trustworthy or even naive. This is one reason why personal style and beauty is so powerful. We can shape ourselves into who we are internally on an external level to create the identity of the look we feel most suited to or comfortable in. So for shoes, traditionally a practical take is linked to someone more amiable. Stylish shoes are linked to wealth, and new or highly maintained ones could be interpreted as more anxious and/or needing to belong on first impression. The researchers of California State University, Northridge, and Columbia University find the formality of clothing might not only influence the way others perceive a person and how people perceive themselves, but could influence decision-making in important ways through its influence on processing style. A first impression is formed within the first milliseconds of the subject. The dorsomedial prefrontal cortex is engaged when intentionally forming a first impression at first view. Research has shown that there is a processing of diagnostic information, for example, distinguishing features, more than processing information in a neutral manner. Since a vast majority of communications occurs on a nonverbal level, even once well acquainted, this intake of information is continued over the relationship. But the initial impression sets the foundation of a relationship. In most cases, this will change to some degree over time. Since fashion is a display of thoughts or beliefs, personal style aids in us finding our place and the people that we belong with in the world. It contributes to how we experience our life. What you wear, however, does not define you. It is only the amount of reflection you would like it to be, the information you like to reveal or need to adhere to in regards to dress codes. Many find marrying appearance to personality to be the most fulfilling and comfortable, whether that be a carefully curated image, one to cater to lifestyle, a display of personality, or personal expressions. Fashion is what we make of it and how we communicate to the world. What other people think of your look and how you choose to style yourself. Ultimately, it doesn't matter as everyone has different preferences for what is considered to be beautiful and fashionable. What is important is to live with conviction and confidence, to stay true to oneself and honor that through action and clothing in the manner you find most suitable. Just from the show, we can see the impressions we make initially are not set forever and life brings change, but our image does impact our experiences and vice versa. So clothing may serve as a vehicle to be or go where we'd like in life, and the evidence of growth on this journey. Moving forward, we will see this tangibly conveyed in the show, and how the characters develop or navigate the world, which is in the same manner the choice we have to experience, and by extension, form the visual narrative of life as well. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please subscribe, like, turn on notifications, and comment. Thank you so much for watching.